Greetings, Commander. All right, let's try this again. You know what? I don't think it's gonna let my camera come through.
Okay.
So, first off, I want to intro this. We'll get into all the proper intros. But is it true that you went to server 1130, killed off over 1 million tier 12 of a top player's account, and then turned around and tried to sell him resources?
Those are lies.
Oh, they are.
I do,
I've
they
been
are
hearing that for a week. I
absolute
thought it was
lies.
true.
I think something in world chat, but I do sell res with me and my buddy MJO, and I happen to sell res, and I happen to have killed troops. So those two didn't mix. It just those happen to be truths.
Okay, so if you had been given the title "The Merchant of Death and Taxes," that would be somewhat fitting. Because
Yeah, I guess so.
so for those of you guys that don't know, Army is a member of Win 888. He's been a community member and a supporter of this channel since the beginning. You're actually the record holder. You have been the longest subscriber of the YouTube channel. What is it up to now? Have you checked?
Yeah, it's coming on 2 years. I think I'm like 2 months short of 2 years for the premium account.
Okay, so that's the record to beat. 2 years. Now there's a special emoji at 2 years. I made that a while ago.
Yeah, we got to make another one pretty soon though.
Okay, I'm trying to see your channel. I want to try and pull it up for people watching. I'm in the background trying to pull it up. Memberships. Here we go. Can I see it? Channels, community. I don't know if it's going to show me. I've seen it before, but YouTube.
Yeah, that's fine. I can snapshot it and send it to you for the video.
Oh, speaking of videos, this is the replay I was kind of joking about here. It looks like your Dragon Slayer, 1.6 million leadership, hitting Pickle Rick. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a big replay. And now, is there more like that, or is that kind of one of a kind?
No, that was it. That was the biggest hit, and then we all just kind of like faded after that. So all the drama on 1130 is kind of done and over with now, since the devs released those rewards to everybody.
Right. So tell people what that was about. You're the one who broke the news to me actually like a month and a half ago, a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a little bit ago. I moved one of my alts over to a baby server, and this gift giving thing popped up, and pretty much all of the rewards that I've ever bought for the lifetime of that arc counted for those rewards. And I think they nerfed it once they gave it to everybody, and they only put it back like a year or so. That's just speculation, though. I don't have any proof that they did cut that time limit. But some of the old historic arcs, like Anubis and Odette, I think they should have gotten a little bit more from what, like, in comparison to what I got when I first jumped to 1130.
Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, there was so 1130 a couple weeks ago I mentioned that you could go get this thing called gift giving. It's now implemented on all servers. You go here and you just click and you get your free rewards, and it's a gift that they were giving to spenders on new servers to help them get caught up, and it was actually really beneficial, right? You got, depending on how much you spent, you got literally dozens of energy stones, and energy stones, you only need 5 energy stones for your set of gear, but if you get 50 of them, you could recycle the other 45 and turn them into bots and not bots, spirit stones and geist stones, frags.
And they even give you thunders too, so you can just attach it on to the thunders and then either make titans out of them, or you can make your free geist / spirit stones.
Yeah, so they give you the items to make tyrants or titans, and you have the legendaries to recycle, plus tons of other stuff, magazines, melange. I mean, it was amazing. So I'm sure everyone that watches this channel knows about that now, so at least we got that covered. So tell me, what's going on 1130? Are you guys hanging out there? Are people trying to stay? What happened? There was a mass migration after the announcement.
Yeah, so the announcement came, actually, I guess the history of 1130, there was 2 guilds, DSR, which was kind of an English-Chinese mix guild, and then ETB, I think it was. ETB was the holder of the they were the server lords. When they started to lose control of the server, they opened it up to everybody, and they blasted it out on that migration channel on online. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "That's my in." I've been waiting for a baby server to open it up to the big arcs so that we can migrate over there and get all these rewards that I'm pretty sure the devs didn't. They didn't realize that we could get those rewards yet. But as soon as 11:30 opened up, that was ETB's last. I don't know how to say it. Their last stand. To really stick it to DSR because they were the up and coming guild. They were about to take the server from them. So they opened it up and I jumped in, and I have this warmonger image, but I did not want to mess around with the politics of that server because I was like, I'm a 350 million arc going into a server with like 100 million. I think that was the top. So I didn't want to come in. I'm just here for my rewards. I was going to bounce after that. So I wanted to kind of stay neutral in that server.
And you're a max leadership tier 12 Dragon Slayer main with old tier 12 troops that can basically one-shot anyone with almost no risk. I mean, yeah, you could be one slot bust by a ghillie or something like that. But, oh yeah. So you show up there. They have their last hurrah, battling it out, and then once the announcement goes out, 11:30 is open for business. All of a sudden, not dozens, not 50, but hundreds of tier 12 accounts. And people got to remember, poor Army can't see me talking, so I feel like there's like a mix up here. But people have to remember that this YouTube channel does get hundreds of views in the first few hours, and usually 1,000 to 1,500 within 2 days. And those are usually unique views. Over 80% are unique views, and they're all in North America. So these are all the English players basically flooding in, the silent majority of players that are representing different guilds. Maybe they're mid-tier players. And overnight, I wouldn't say overnight, within 4 days, how many players showed up? How did that kind of roll out?
We estimated 200 to 300 arcs landed after 2 to 3 days of your video releasing, and every arc from 350 million on down, whole guilds started migrating. I think we coined it the Great Migration.
The Great Migration
till 11:30. Yeah. So then Exo, Serenity, Pickle, their whole guild. Was it USG?
Yeah, USG showed up. Who else?
Yeah. That Dom, actually, I think 20 or 30 Dom arcs showed up, which I thought, hey, this is great. It's going to be, a three-way battle. But Dom, I think they were just recovering from their migration. They were just there for the rewards as well. I never saw them in any capital battles.
Now Dom, who's in Dom? Is that King Kane's guild, or is he back in Win now?
He's back. I think he's back in Win. King Kane, I thought he came from ZRO or Zero.
Oh, it was Zero,
whatever. But that's Gangaji. All them.
Dom is Gangaji. Okay, gotcha. God, how come I'm getting Gangaji mixed up? That's gonna happen. There's so many players, and they switch guilds on me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then we switch our names.
Right. So yeah, you were the Mandalorian for a while. Did you?
I was. Yeah. When all of Win switched over to Star Wars names, I was Mando Army.
Okay, so help me out. Who else showed up on 11:30? Because they're gonna be mad at you for not name dropping them in this video.
Oh man, I wasn't ready for that. Because it's pretty much all of Station 22.
Oh, Station 22, the line chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody who saw your video pretty much jumped over. Because all they had to do was like spend 1 or 2 jumps, and then they would get $800-900 worth of rewards for, and then buy their way back because you got honor medals for it too.
Jeez. So what's the state of 11:30 now?
Well, after the devs, well, a little bit before that, let me backtrack. So Anubis, Odad, all of the heavy super arcs, they went on a spending strike about I think like maybe 1 to 2 week spending strike, and they said they want these rewards for everybody. It's not fair that it's only open to 300 million on down, or 350 million on down, because that was the limit for the server at the time. And they would have to spend 20 jumps to get over to 1130. So about 2 weeks worth of no spending. Their protest worked, and then the devs opened it up for everybody. So it was a huge win for the players.
Sure, and the funny thing about that is, as far as community management is concerned, a lot of people think like, oh man, that makes the devs look so bad for giving those players such early advantages. First off, small accounts, new players need to get caught up, right? If they see and they wake up and they realize one day they go watch a Galactic battle, we're tier 12 with 500 million power, they will never catch us, not within years or $100,000. They'll quit. So the devs are finding ways to get players caught up, and this is one of the ways. Second, and then you look at say, okay, players are getting disappointed because the devs didn't roll out those features for them. And it's like, now there's a spending strike. But you got to remember that this is all part of the machine, the market, the edge, the pulse of this game. And your biggest spenders, your biggest players are interacting with the community. They're picking up their cell phone that day. They're logging into the account that day. And they're getting interested in getting rewards from the game. They're not just, nothing to do on the game today. They don't pick it up today. Or, I'll check my shield and log off. Players are engaging the community. They're engaging the game and the events. They're putting emails out and support tickets out to the developers. And a lot of the developers and customer service reps would probably be like, shit, I just got 100 emails. What am I going to do with it? You're going to say, thanks, man. That's job security. The day you come into work and the players aren't complaining about increasing the game or getting better rewards, the less interaction you have, the lower the health of your game. It's an interaction daily login game. This is a big market. The cell phone gaming market is huge. Everyone's got a device. When they pick up their device, you want them to log into your game. And in a sense, like, yes, I may have like perpetuated that, but it could have been anyone else. If I didn't need to make a YouTube video about that. When you put it out to Station 22, I just kind of threw it on the megahorn, but the word was out. So, don't get mad at me. I think the net result of this is very positive. I think that's the thing, is that the net result of this is very positive, because not only did the developers respond to it, they gave it to everyone. They got exactly what we wanted, and it was fair. And now we move on going, okay, developers did us a solid there. Did they mess up?
Yeah.
Maybe, but like they took a potentially terrible thing and turned it into a pro. So I'd like to point that out.
This is reminiscent of the T9 packs too. When they drop that for anyone that hasn't had T9 before, but has had the research for that, they opened that up for the T12 players later on. Once we opened up request emails, we started emailing them, telling them, hey, why aren't these T9 packs with 10,000 UC available for everybody? And then sure enough, they opened it up for all of us. So.
And what he's saying is
that was another great win for the community as well.
And that was like what, a month or two ago, when players that don't know, when you get to Bridge 21, your research lab opens up, and you realize real quickly that Tier 9 is extremely expensive, like at least $3,000 to $5,000, and you can't see it until you get to Bridge 21, and you push hard to get to Bridge 21 or Research Lab 21. And then you open it and you're just like, oh my God, like your jaw drops and you realize what you've got yourself into. But you should have known. You should have known. You were playing this game. You saw the scaling cost, But the new players now get a pack that's $100. You get 10,000 unlimited crystals, like 10 times value, which is huge.
10,000.
Huge value. The cost of Tier 9 goes from 3,000 to 300, So word got out, and players started telling the devs, hey, I still need unlimited crystals. I haven't maxed out my researches yet. I still want to unlock walkers. So the dev said, if you contact them and just say you want the pack, you just buy the generic $100 pack, and they will give you the rewards directly. So that was a win for the community, and it just makes you wonder, what's next? What's the next big thing we're going to find out they were doing behind our backs, huh?
Yeah. Hey, we're keeping our ears open and definitely take advantage of all that, because they respond to us. That's key.
They don't respond to me. Yeah, for the last 3 weeks, I'm in the dead zone, man. I don't know if they're mad at me.
We'll work on that, I guess.
I don't know, man. It's a bit of a mess, but so listen.
So that hit on Yeah, good.
So one of the things I was a little hesitant to talk to you about, but I decided to not put handcuffs on this conversation because I want this to be a platform as a this is an entertainment show. This is just for fun. None of this is real. I'm a character, and Army's a character. You don't know his real name. So everything we do here is just for fun. Now, we don't agree to an end-user license agreement. We never agreed to anything, and we have no laws binding us to a Chinese company's end-user license anyway. Now, there are some things about them owning our account and all this nonsense digital app stuff, but you mentioned earlier you're selling resources. That is something that is punishable in our game, allegedly, right? We've seen support say it. It's definitely kind of frowned upon, but there's there's two parts of this story. One is I want to know, what you're doing with it, and two is like there is something to be said about a game that generates $10 million a month or $10 million. I don't know what they make tons of money in this game, and there is a real economy. There's a real economy for these resources because of the value of the accounts themselves. You need troops. If you invest $50,000 in research and you lose all your troops, and you will lose your troops, that's part of this game, you have to rebuild that army. And you can't expect your guild and yourself to farm enough resources in a 6-month period to replace those troops, so buying resources makes sense. You buy someone else's time. The game doesn't want to tackle that. I don't know if it's labor laws. I don't know if they just don't want to deal with like ethics issues, but it happens. And I made a video about buying 1 billion resources. I paid $135 for 1 billion resources. Now I realize that was a bit expensive at the time. I don't know what your stance on your prices are. But for me, that was a great deal. I was super excited. Players were happy to find out about it. And apparently there's little kiosks at the base of buildings in China, big business buildings. You can go down to your lunch break, have a cigarette, and talk to the cell phone game vendor guy, and he'll sell you resources right there at the kiosk. Do you know if that's true? Is that true?
Really?
Have you heard of that?
Wow, I've never heard that.
Oh. Maybe that was a lie. I don't know. Someone told me that, and I was like, that's actually kind of reasonable. I could see that. So what's the take on resources? Now do you want to expose these secrets?
Yeah, I don't care. So I have 8 alternate accounts. And I send them out farming, come back, set a timer, send them out again. And then my buddy, I think he's in either Texas or I don't know exactly where he's from, but he has 5 alts. We're working on getting more of this whole fleet of alts, and we just continuously farm when we have events like these. You stock up your meta crystals and then turn them into cosmics. But the $50 that you spend or the $100 that you spend to get that domestication potion, it's well worth it because you're selling. So our prices, we go $100 per billion of food and parts, and then we just kind of go in between for like gas, and we don't even charge anything for electricity really, because who the hell needs electricity? And then cash is double. So that's all we do. We farm, and all the English players really come to us because you can Venmo or PayPal us instead of going through one of those Chinese banks or whatever.
Zoom is a Chinese bank on PayPal. Not to plug their competitors, but so now is this based on server, or are you willing to migrate an alt with those resources if it's a big enough purchase?
If it's a big enough, I usually just hang out with Win because Win is the biggest English guild, or mixed English guild. So that's where all the spenders are. Why would I go to baby server and they're gonna want $10 of resources when I can sell $800?
Yeah. So obviously the demand on Win is high enough that you don't need to migrate. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I already know. I guess I don't know, but I could guess who your biggest buyers are. Would you say that this resource endeavor started 3 months ago, 6 months ago, just in the last couple of weeks?
It started, I'd say about 3 months ago. Me and my buddy can farm maybe about a billion, maybe 1.5 billion worth of resin in 3 or 4 weeks. And then these holiday events have been dropping like crazy, so that's really good times to get that res up. The holiday store or whatever. Yeah.
You just fall into money.
Yeah, even that Galactic Oracle, was it January, the Chinese New Year event? That dropped a lot of resources, so we definitely took advantage of that.
So that's the question: is when it comes down to economics, obviously it's event based. Events have a huge effect on, like, when the next anniversary event comes around, you're going to fall into half a billion resources instantly.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
calculated the amount of time it takes to manage those alts? Are you doing that with an emulator? Are you doing it by yourself? And what is it? What's the actual net return on the time versus money spent, like an hourly wage?
Oh wow, hourly, definitely not worth it.
Okay, fair
But
enough.
this is kind of a pride thing now. Like I've spent 20,000, $25,000 into this game. If I can get a little bit back, it's like a less of a bruise to my ego. So that's really why I'm doing it.
I have bad news for you. As the spending goes on, well, I shouldn't say bad news for you. I wish you great success. I thought I would do the same thing and be the only person in this game that made money off of it. Turns out I just stopped spending the money on the game and started spending it on the channel. My
I'm not
CP,
even trying to make any money. I'm just trying to like dig myself out of a damn hole that I
yeah,
dug
well,
myself.
my CPA is going to have fun trying to figure this out this year. But it is fun to definitely get something back and to play an economy. What people forget, this is a market. We are interacting with the
Yeah,
market. We're finding a
yeah,
niche and saying, ooh, I found a way to like profit off of this. This is a way I can do something and be a contributing factor, because every one of your customers is so thankful, right? They're like, oh, thank God I could
yeah.
finally fill up, because this game will let you buy $30,000 worth of magazines and you can
Oh
have
yeah,
a 1.6 million leadership commander overnight, but you can't buy the resources overnight unless you literally spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. So having players like that is a huge part of this game. Now, the game wants you to pillage those and beat players for them, but as this game goes on,
yeah,
players that are deep into it, a year into it, or 2 years into it, most of them don't want to run 2 accounts or 5 accounts or 8 accounts. And the ones that do are running bots or software, which is totally taken away from what the game is meant to be played as. So we're almost like
correct. Yeah,
navigating this,
I do
like,
not do that.
yeah, this is like a weird time to be alive, where we have these devices. They're on us all the time. People have poured, a mortgage into these things, and we can't walk away because there's no secondary market. You could sell your account and get maybe 5 or 10% of it,
Hmm.
and that's like there's a limited market of buyers, and not a lot of people just want to drop $5,000 or $10,000. Like, that's a lot of money just like to go into it, and they can lose it all in a day if they're not smart. So
Yeah, and if they have that sort of money to drop on a cell phone game, they probably would have already done it. So it's very slim pickings when it comes to selling a super arc or even an arc like mine that's only two or what is it 350 million.
mhm.
It's just very slim pickings.
Yeah.
You had mentioned in a couple of your videos before, where like what is the next step for this video game? And for me, it's selling res. It's farming. It's doing the grind. That's my next puzzle, personally.
Okay. So I want to tackle the idea of I've kind of got my twisted between two ideas here, but let's just say uh, the developers try to crack down and limit everyone to one account, just for a hypothetical, because
Sure.
they are responding to the community, right? If people make a stink about this, because remember, your market and what you do is niche, that's not the majority of players. Even though the majority of players eventually want to get to that level, they may have a problem with it, right? I mean, Ridiculous Badger made a
Right.
big thing about botting and how Asian players are not being punished for all the accounts they have. That was a big thing he was
Yeah.
doing a year ago. I don't know what his stance on it now. I didn't really grill him on it. But what if Seven Pirates comes after those alt accounts more aggressively? What do you do then?
As long as it's fair, I'm completely fine with it. Um, I don't. If they're gonna take away all the alts for everybody, that to include the Chinese players, the everybody, the main botters, then let's do it. Let's make it fair across the board. I do not bot. I manually click on each farm or each tile that my troops go to for all of my accounts. So in that case, I don't see that as any detriment to the game. Um, but yeah, as long
So,
as it's fair, I'm fine with it.
so what's interesting about that, right, is that from a developer standpoint, you want to keep players. There's a retention thing, right? If players thinks other players are cheating or take advantage of something and they have an unfair advantage, then players are going to quit or they're going to use that as an excuse to quit. You don't want that as a developer. But at the same time, as someone pitching this game, you want to be coined as like EVE Online that has their own economy. You want to be that game that people play on their cell phones. EVE Online's not on cell phones. That, holy shit, like there is a huge market of players. Software is built around it. There are teams of people that are providing resources for these super fleets, and you want to have esports event. You want to have merch. You want to have name recognition. You want to be the next esport that's mentioned on ESPN. You know, League of Legends, Overwatch, Dota 2, they get mentions on major networks. Not that major networks are important anymore. But the fact is that if you can set yourself apart, like there is an arms race in cell phone games. It's Rise of Kingdoms, it's Ark of War, it's Game of War. This game's where you have a ship and you have a base and a shield and you go to war and you lose things and there's real money at stake and there's no cap on spending. There is going to be one day a game that dominates them all, where that new players can come in and compete with the highest level players. And that's kind of what the World Event kind of does. But they're making it so that it's more inviting to players. Now, the whole migration thing and increasing power caps kind of messes with that, but they're trying. And all these games are trying to find a way to make it a mass, a mainstream game that has super high caps on spending and potential and entertainment. And Ark of War is still struggling to figure out how to make that market hit everyone without losing all the people that built it, because they know they're almost like the root of the tree. They need those players to keep going because they already have us hooked. We're already here. We're tied in. We've got our friends here. This is what we do every day. They don't want to lose us. So making it fair is important, but also exploding the robust economy and player base by having things like bots and services and resource buying in a third market is actually good because it gets word out. It's just a wild time. It's a wild time to be alive, man. It trips me out that this game is even legal. I say that all the time. Sure, the developers don't like it, but it shouldn't be legal, man, because you talk about the players that do spend a lot of money. If, not a lot of players that are going to buy accounts are going to spend $5,000 or $10,000 because if they have that kind of money, they've already spent it. You said that. Well, the truth is there's also a lot of players out there that have come forward after they quit that have spent a lot of money they shouldn't have spent. And that's the kind of story you have to be afraid of, because players lose retirement. They have to go back to work. Players get themselves into debt. They have to take on a second job. That is like a gambling thing. That's what you hear at casinos. This game doesn't have any warnings like that. And you say, well, people should know better. You're right, dude. People should know better. But people are human, and they make these mistakes, and they make decisions that cost themselves, their families, and they didn't know what they were getting into because we've never seen anything like this before. Yeah.
Yeah, I got into a lot of heat about a year ago, just because I didn't know how to regulate this game. But man, it took a lot. It was actually a lot of stress. I almost quit the game. But I got on track. Well, obviously, right? But it was rough. It was a rough time.
Yeah.
I think the community definitely helped me come back. The buddies that I've started this game with, like from when Hades, and Tavis, definitely. He's not a win, but well, he should be. So Tavis, if you're watching this, probably get your boys over to win. And then of course you and your community, like that helped me get back to the game.
Yeah. So let's take a step back. We've been drilling that pretty hard. We went resources, meta. Sure. What's Ark of War been like for you, man? What was it like before Ark of War? What's it like now?
Oh man, was that 3 years ago? 3-4 years ago?
How did you find Ark of War?
I think it was the Facebook advertisement. You saw the flying ships in the game that you thought it was going to be, and it actually wasn't.
It's not a pay-to-win game.
That's what hooked me.
Yeah, they got good graphics.
Yeah, it was, and those packs too, that when you first start off, it's like $5 here. You can get a Galileo S-Class. You can get like 2,000 magazines. Man, they really know how to rope you in with like little micro purchases, and then all of a sudden you're spending $800 a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on a weekend, on a Friday night, you start spending on a big event. Come Saturday, you're balls deep in
Yeah.
all your new stuff. Throw down $500 more. Next thing you know, Sunday's here. You got a full
Yeah.
hospital. Your credit card's full.
Jesus.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a brutal game, dude. It's a brutal game. Do you ever tell your friends about this game? Do you ever invite them? Do you ever recruit them?
Oh, absolutely not. Nope. Nope. Absolutely not. They wouldn't understand. Like, you spent how much on a cell phone? And then for a while, I did a callback for about 20 days, 20-ish days. And then I started playing this console game, and I paid the price of the console game, and then I continued to play for it the whole time, and I never spent any extra money on it. So it's just, I don't know I don't know why I do this.
It's interesting. I don't want to go back too far into the game models, but you hear about like really great game companies, CD Projekt Red and with the Witcher series. They basically
No, The Witcher,
release,
yeah.
they release a great game, and it's fun, it's new, it's original content. They release 2 more follow-up games, great games. Community loves them because they're released full, and then they give expansion DLC pack for free sometimes. And
Yeah.
I mean, it does so well it becomes a Netflix series, but that is the exception. There's a lot of great indie game developers out there. Like for me, for example, like with this community I have and my understanding of this game, I've thought about making my own version of Ark of War. Like, you really want to make money? Make a version of this that actually solves a lot of the problems. But there's so many great companies out there that want to make it, but there's no way that they're going to have the effect they have going into this market, charging $60 up front and not having microtransactions and DLC. And you say, well, that's not true. Of course, there's more gamers than ever. There's more cell phones. There's more computers. There's more people on the internet. But like, you have to remember, games that are 30 years old don't disappear. People still play the original Marios, original Zeldas. Go on Twitch, you see speedrunners still playing these games. People still go back I still go back and play Warcraft. I go back and play StarCraft. I don't play a lot of the new titles, and I get them all for free. So, I mean, maybe that's why, but it makes sense that games like this exist with all these microtransactions and spending because the developers actually want to make some of their money back. It's not cheap to buy all these assets. All these commanders, all these skin packs, this ship, these animations, someone has to make this. And it's not some guy that happens to be a brilliant graphics artist who's also a brilliant businessman who also can code Python, and then get it onto Google. You don't think
these are all individual people.
Yeah, and they're buying all this stuff from contractors. It's all commissioned, right? And then they have to own it. And then you have to remember advertising on Facebook and Google. Facebook advertising's not that bad, but Google is. I mean, you could throw down a $50, $250 budget on Google a day real quick, And if you're a small game trying to get started, like Ark of War wasn't the first game Seven Pirates did, right? They did Game of Survivors. They tried Sky Kingdoms. That was a bust. I don't know what they were thinking with that, but I don't know.
Maybe that was their evolution into trying to make something bigger and better. What was the Survivors game? The one with the bald guy. The first one. What did you say it was?
Game of Survivors. No. I can look it up. I'm in front of a computer. What am I doing? Seven Pirates.
Maybe they thought
Game of
with
Survivors.
their evolution of how their games are going, because it's very similar too, right? For their first game that they made. I think I played it for all of like a month, and then I stopped. But it was pretty much the same thing. It was just you're in an encampment instead of a space station.
Mm-hmm. And was that a game that was supposed to be like? Was that supposed to be like Fallout Shelter? I never played it. I know it was very similar to Ark of War.
It's really Ark of War. It's just you're in a camp, and you're making up like satellite comms and like pretty much like an army base almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I think is great about Ark of War is there is another version of Ark of War to be made, right? Sky Kingdoms is the mythical version, fairy tales and princes and all that. But you could do a Lord of the Rings style Ark of War, right? Set it back with elves, orcs, humans, hobbits, whatever, dwarves.
Yeah.
You could do it like that. Build the exact
just drop
same
a bunch
game.
of skins too.
And why doesn't our game have more alt skins? Get it together. But you could do that same game and fix a lot of the problems. What people don't like about Sky Kingdoms is that it was too childish for a serious spending game. But it was actually functionally a better game than Ark of War. I do like Sky Kingdoms as a game better than Ark of War because the resources.
I couldn't get it.
Dude, it's the same game, but
I
they give you.
couldn't get into it, Mel.
I know, but like they give you way more resource income, right? So the punishments for healing troops isn't so bad. They slow scaled Tier 7. Tier 7 didn't come out for a while. So, like, I know
Right, I
that
remember. Yeah.
Rise of Kingdoms is still on Tier 5. So, like, all the players are still, like, within range of the spenders. There's a limit on spending. There's like, if you go out and on a holiday and spend on the $100 pack for a holiday pack, it's like the best of the best pack ever made sometimes. Thanksgiving pack a couple years
Really?
ago. But on Rise of Kingdoms, you can, if you do something special, you get a sweet $100 pack. But like you only get that $100 pack one time, and then after that, there's this like basic generic $100
Oh,
pack, and that's so like players that do spend like crazy don't get so far ahead. But it
yeah.
also cuts into their bottom line. But then there's player retention because they know that the players that do spend like crazy are getting an advantage for their money, but they're not getting so far ahead. Arc of War combats that by commanders like Dragon Slayer, gear like Strength and Weakened effect. Dodge Rogers was great. Plasma, a way to like punish those big players without having to overpower them because it wasn't going to happen. So, I don't know. It's a wild game, man. It's a wild game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're on 11:30 now. When are you coming home?
Actually, I'm already jumped back. Anubis wanted me to. So USG, they're our allies, right? They came to fight with us in season 9 quarterfinals against CAD, and I'm over here on 11:30 just stirring up trouble for them. So Anubis and the Win console recalled me back to 888 because I was being bad.
Oh, you're being bad. I figured you were still running the alts and stuff, doing the server farming. I just figured your main ship was still on 11:30, but
yeah, I jumped back. But my Dragon Slayer is at 100.8% penetration now, so very happy about that. It took everything to get it.
You've triggered part 2 of this conversation. So Army also is a Dragon Slayer penetration player. He was running her as a damage comm. Then we saw in season 9 that penetration might be the way to go for late game meta.
Yeah.
And let me explain that to players. So Titans hit harder than penetration gear. If you just want to kill one ranger to blow up a different slot that's trying to be like a low risk march, if you have Titans, your shockwave is going to hit harder because your Titan hits harder. It's 60% of the overall damage.
Yep.
But penetration, Titans don't scale. That's why Golem doesn't work with Tier 12. Titans don't scale with commanders that don't ignore stats. So Dragon Slayer has, not Shockwave, what's the hit she has? It's bonus damage, Crushing Blow?
Crushing Blow,
yeah.
And then Shockwave.
Crushing Blow is bonus damage. I think Shockwave is too. Maybe. But point is that penetration is going to let her ignore those stats. You get that perfect 100% plus. Now you ignore all their defense and your damage goes through, and it's big time. Are you noticing shockwaves are bigger with the penetration, or are they much less, but at least the hits actually do some damage?
Okay, so it depends on your enemy, of course. So I was doing massive damage to infantry as a pure attack Dragon Slayer. But when I switched over to penetration, this is why I was able to hit that Pickle Rick's walkers so hard. If you noticed, I think it was like 1.1 billion damage for the initial hit.
1.112 billion.
Or something like I nearly. Yeah, that was at 100% penetration. So I was able to hit walkers and airships now with the penetration build. I couldn't do that with a pure attack build. I was only successful against infantry.
And now with penetration, you still rape infantry, but you also destroy walkers and airships.
Yes, yeah. Not as bad, but...
yeah, I'm showing that replay in the background. Pickle Rick, love that elf avatar. Love Pickle Rick, but man, how did that happen? How much did that fit in his hospital? Anubis is asking, how much did it kill, though?
I'm not entirely sure. Oh, is this live?
I mean, I'm recording it, and I don't plan on editing it.
Oh, okay. I was wondering because you said Anubis. Are you talking to Anubis?
It's in the replay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much he saved, but yeah, I mean he left it in the capital, so they were sending alts to their capital. USG was in order to lock me out, either to lock us out of the capital or to continually reset that kill count. What is that, like 60 or 80 victories, and then you get locked out or something?
Yeah. 15 out of
So
70.
they're sending ults. One of their ults ended up landing that first hit on Rick's troops, and he didn't withdraw it because he was the last one. So I figured, let's test out this 100% penetration build, and man, it did some damage.
Certainly did. And you really didn't have too much to risk, because even if Pickle Rick would have had over half survive and he would have hit you with an elf, the curse would have done a little, maybe a couple hundred tier 12. The tear space damage might have done 100 or 2 because it's an HP build. The base hit wouldn't have been that much. You risk like maybe 500 to 600 troops there, which is a lot of tier 12 airships to risk. I mean, you risked a 1777 march, a max leadership march, but your only real risk was that he could have hit you pretty hard before you hit him, or you could have missed if you didn't get that guaranteed hit. But it certainly worked out. And what was USG doing on 1130? You were already there for the rewards. USG's not from 1130. They all showed up just as part of the.
Yeah, so they didn't want, as far as I'm aware, when I talked to Serenity, they had no interest in the rewards. They didn't even know it was a thing until they landed. They were trying to get away from who's their server nemesis. It was ARG or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Andrew and ARG.
Like a year's worth of battling. They just wanted to get away from all that drama and protect their smaller players. Which hey, that's I understand that completely. That's why we moved away from 889 to get onto Battle Up with Win for almost that same reason. Once Rookie got over to Dom with 889, we jumped ship real quick because you don't want to fight Rookie.
I keep hearing his name come up. He never talks to me. I got to talk to Rookie. What's his deal?
Oh, he's a good guy. No, he's a really good guy. I don't know.
What's so good about him?
He's just a stand-up dude. He'll lose some troops. He'll kill a bunch of mine, and we can just talk about it like normal,
He's a
players.
Player.
Yeah.
Do we know anything about Rookie? I don't want personal information. Anything else? What kind of a main he is? What guild he's in now?
He's still with Dom. Him and Gangaji, they're
Gangaji.
They're two peas in a pod. They're very loyal to each other.
Yeah, and they run a pretty militant style guild, right? All their followers are very loyal to them. They always have. And every time Gangaji comes up in this video, check the comments below. His followers always say, no matter what anyone says about Gangaji, on the inside, all of his players love him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all of his guys are very loyal. They're good guys. I mean, we fought him for a long time, and there was it got petty for a little bit, but then there's a mutual respect between your enemies now. And they even came in. What's up?
It was you. It was you and WS Tavis that had a beef with Gangaji.
Yeah. Because we fought for years together, or against each other, I should say.
Everyone can see how slow I am. Just finally putting that piece back together. Oh, jeez. What does Rookie run? What's his main?
I mean, he's got so many. He's one of those multiple max leadership commanders with multiple. I think he's well over 1 billion power, I believe.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So he's
like the 1 billion power players. What's that about?
I mean, if I had the money, I'd do that too. I think we all would. We all get jealous and talk shit about them, but I think we all would if we had the money to expend on that.
Man, I just don't. I just don't. I think I'm very. Really? I'm not OCD, but I'm very tightly organized. In everything I do, from my notebooks to my books to my shoes to my shirts. It's not color coordinated and stuff, but it is, my account is tight. Everything in my life is tight. I don't keep waste. Things I don't use, I throw out. Trying to run 2 max leadership comms, splitting my research between Walker and Airship, I just don't want to deal with that. I don't know how players can do that, especially knowing the costs. I'm assuming everyone that has this kind of money has opportunities that they're not capitalizing on. I'm too young. I'm like, dude, I can't be throwing down 30,000 on this. I could put that 30,000 elsewhere. But and the
Yeah.
guys that are in the billions, I know that they're very wealthy. I know personal information about some of them, and only a few I've thought, oh, this person might not be what they are pretending to be. Like this is hurting them financially. But
Oh shit! Really?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Damn.
I can't say that because people will go, oh, Melt's holding out on us. But there's a case, and I think, well, actually, there's a major case, but there was a minor case a year and a half ago. A player contacted me and was trying to get the Attorney General to go after Google to shut down Seven Pirates for their game policies for allowing players to spend. And I think he had a legitimate case because, like, he kind of got roped into it. Not roped, but you know how this game has a boiling frog syndrome. You start getting in this thing, it starts heating up,
Yeah.
and by the time you realize it, you get hit with a credit card bill at the end of the month. You go, how am I going to pay $3,000 off? And there's no going back. You can't like refund it through Google after a certain period of time. I think it's like 3 days. One day those stories will come out, and frankly, I'll get better ones. If I'm ever going to do an episode about it, I want to have better proof. I want to have more than just hearsay. But the reason
I can't see how that would hold up, though. I mean, you are the one putting your fingerprint on there, put your face ID or whatever on there. These are your decisions, and I don't know. I can't see how that would hold up.
You know what I need to do? I feel like a responsibility to this game. Like, I keep saying, one day someone's going to do a documentary about this game. Who? You know what I mean? Who's going to do it, Melt? It's like, I got to do it, right?
Yeah.
And I think what I have to do is, I know Odad doesn't watch my channel, but I know people report to him. So he'll hear this. I want to interview Odad. Because I know he's fine financially. I know he's fine. I've heard rumors of what he does. I know he's fine. But he would be that player that I think would make a lot of sense to open the video with. Like, hey, this guy happens to be...
Yeah.
Here's his house. You don't need to know what he does for a living or what he did for a living or how much money he has. Here's his house. You know, look at the things around you and think to yourself, what is that worth? Maybe it's priceless. He plays this game, and he's, deep into this game, deeper than anyone else is, and by far. And he's not the only one. There's a lot of players like him. This is the story of a cell phone game that has no cap on spending, and it's straight up pay to win, and the biggest dog with the biggest wallet can be on top of the world. Here's Ark of War. And the problem is like, I don't want to go
What kind
into
of
that.
light would that shine on us?
Yeah, I mean, that would
like,
be
would
like
that be a positive or a negative?
I mean, and there's other things, right? Like, one thing I've always worried about is, this is like totally off topic. I don't want to be recognized as an entity for Seven Pirates. I don't want to work for them. I don't want to take money from them. I don't want to be associated with them other than the fact that I promote and play a game's community that they happen to own. Because I'm actually legitimately concerned people could say somehow I'm associated and name me in a lawsuit if this ever came up. And it's like, whoa, we got to be careful there because I'm just a YouTube guy. I make videos based on the game content. I am not the game owner. But
yeah, I think anybody that watches your videos, that wouldn't fly either.
I don't know.
Especially your fire trap videos where you get a little bit more on the darker side. there's no correlation with you and Seven Pirates.
But they could name me, and then I'd have to defend myself.
Yeah.
And I want to know that when I do go to defend myself, there's nothing on me. And you know what I mean? Like, and if there is something and I have to lie about it, now you're lying to a federal judge. That is not something you walk away from if proof comes out. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's federal, but it's something that does concern me because, I don't know.
It could be.
And you don't know who these people are. There's probably a lot of attorneys out there. Could be. The demographic for this channel, I'm going to pull it up on the other side here. The people that watch my channel, they're all, I mean, not all, the majority are men in the ages of 28 to 42, which means that they're pretty much all men that are employed, have some kind of disposable income. The majority are in North America because that's where we speak English and that's where YouTube is. It's not available in China. There's some Europeans, of course. But it's almost like, just from a business perspective, Seven Pirates has hit an awesome market, right? Everybody wants that 25 to 45 age range. Guys with money, guys with disposable income.
Been working for 20 years plus.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, on the verge of retiring, maybe.
Yeah.
Those are probably the super arcs,
Okay.
or that have retired.
So here we go. I'm pulling up channel analytics. I know you can't see this, but everyone else can. So what do we have here? Audience member, 8,800 unique views in the last 28 days. So even though my videos only average 1,000 to 1,500 views, I still average 8,800 unique viewers per month, or at least in the last month. That's a lot of players. That's hitting the market.
That's the wow. I didn't realize it's gotten that big.
8,800. That's kind of crazy, because like you have to think, like, how big is Arc of War? 100,000 players? Probably not. How many servers are there? 100. How many arcs? 500. You know, what does that really equate to? How many are actual players? Probably 100,000 players, and maybe 20 to 40,000 Americans, and 8,800 unique views a month. And some of them might be watching on PC and cell phone. There might be some doubling there.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, we're talking to 5,000 unique players. This video, 50 minutes long, will probably get watched more than most videos do, because people have a tendency to just sit and watch long-form videos in their office, while they're driving, while they're trucking, while they're commuting. You know, it's like cell phone data is so cheap now, they can just turn it on and drive. You ever do that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. All your fireside ones, that's gets played in the background while I'm driving. Or 2:00 in the morning when I can't go to sleep.
So here's the demographics. 0 from ages 13 to 17, assuming they're telling the truth about their
Good.
age.
That's good.
Yeah. 12%.
We don't need any teenagers playing this game. That's horrible.
Yeah. 12%, 18 to 24. 34%. Actually, it's 78% between the ages of 25 and 44. 78%. That's the mass majority, and that's that market you want. That's what every insurance company wants.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a few people over 55 to 64, and a couple over 65. Okay, right on. Shout out to you guys. Fist pump. All right. 51% American, and then 3% everywhere else. Only 3% Canada, which I think is interesting. Some people run it with subtitles, 3%. 96% don't. I was doing Portuguese subtitles for a long time.
That's weird.
I went out of my way to give Brazil Portuguese subtitles, and like I went back and watched like last 90 days, and no one watched it in Portuguese. I was like, they speak English anyway. So, 97% male. Now here's the real kick in the balls. 68% subscribed. 68%. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, help me get to 69.
I feel like that's the only metric that hasn't gone up in the past 2 years. Does it sound accurate?
Yeah.
I feel like all your numbers have gone up except for the subscription.
Yeah. It's percentage. It's only 2/3.
Yeah.
2/3 are subscribed. How? How do you get recommendations for videos? I guess if you click like, I think that's another thing I'm learning on YouTube, which is sad I don't know this, but you click like, you get recommended for the video. Simply just watching a video doesn't hit the algorithm as hard as hitting a like or commenting. You comment and like a video, that's why all the YouTubers are telling you to do that, because their next video pops up on your stream. If you hit the bell icon, you're guaranteed to get an email. That's like the real creme de la creme. And for me, it doesn't really matter because there's no revenue from the video. I shouldn't say there's no revenue. Each video does like $10 to $20, but that's not a real. That's not an incentive. But what it is an incentive is that I want players to come back and watch the next video, right? Like Replay of the Week reaches out to a lot of players, gets a lot of replays out there, and it answers that question about players that go, you never do low-level content. It's like, I do. I've done it all. Go back and watch it. Look for the tags. Watch Replay of the Week. I talk about that. Yeah. It's like we're having an old buddy chat here. I need to get back on Army. I could rant about this stuff all day.
How many subscriptions do you have now? Or
subscribers?
Yeah.
It's such a weird number. 6,500. So, you know, when I was at the Genesis Open on Friday, people were asking me like, "Hey, I like that hat. That's a cool hat. What's it for?" I said, "It's my captain's hat." I told some buddies I'd be golfing.
Clearly, it's my captain's hat.
Yeah, well, yeah, and they're like, "Oh, the name's on it, Melt." And I was like, no, it's a hard T. It's Melt T. So, you know, just kind of fucking with people. But what was I saying? I don't totally lost it. But when people ask me about the YouTube channel, I play this cell phone game with a bunch of friends. And people ask, oh, how many people? Maybe 100 or
Yeah.
so. I try to downplay it because it's so weird. It's so weird to do this, man. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I've never seen anyone do what I'm doing. I know there's channels out there like this, right? There's community channels for every cell phone game. I'm sure of it. But there's no like roadmap. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a band, you know what I mean? Like you're in a band, you got to like do gigs, house gigs. Then you got to do gigs for the local restaurant. Then you get picked up by an agent, you make a record.
Yeah.
Then you go on tour opening for someone else. If you're lucky, you open for someone big. And then one day you do your own tour. That's the roadmap for a successful band and musician. I don't have like a roadmap here. I'm just kind of doing what I want and judging the views and the community response by it. And here we go talking about me and this silly YouTube channel again. See?
Well, even this game, progressing forward, you don't have a roadmap for that. Like this community, like I would not be playing this game if it wasn't for your videos and the community that's built online. Not online, but in line. Whatever.
I'll be honest. If it wasn't for you being the longest subscriber and being the original supporter of this channel, for those of you that don't know, Army was the one that had these made. He sent them to me. He sent them and said, send them out, do whatever you want to do. Get them in the hands of the
You didn't
viewers.
want to do the pins at first.
Yeah, that was all you. But every time I thought about, like, should I keep doing this? I keep thinking about you. And I do. I think, like, it's almost 2 years. You know, we got to get there. You know, it's you've been a big part of that too. It's not just me, and it's a lot of people. And like, people don't realize it too. Like, there's names that stick, like Serenity, London's Fog.
Yeah.
Those girls, like, I don't talk to them often, but like they have been so supportive of this channel just the right way. Like, they don't like message me every single day, and whenever they message me, I can't wait to see what they say. And I should say that for most people. Like, I go through my line chats, I don't know, 8 times a day. It's a lot of work, but usually the messages are so good. And like, I don't want to give that up. I love that part of the community because we are tied into something really big here, and we are not at the end of the road, you know? And let me explain what I mean by we're not at the end of the road. Do you remember EverQuest?
Yeah.
So EverQuest was a game.
Online?
I think it was like originally sourced off of Mud. It was a role-playing game that actually wanted to do like Dungeons and Dragons style quests in a medieval realm.
Yeah.
And you had it was like World of Warcraft before World of Warcraft. It was a MMO. You walked around as a character, and the quests were really hard to do. It was not very intuitive. It was a very difficult and punishing game. And these guys named Pkwy and Tiggle, they had this website called Fires of Heaven, and they had like, I think, Thoughtbot. No, that was World of Warcraft. They had their own version of Thoughtbot where they showed how to do quests and how to beat monsters. And I was in this chat. I was one of the top 10 tanks or top 15 or whatever, and we were all in this group chat. And I was just getting into college. And I had to give up EverQuest after like dedicating like 3 years of my life to it. And Pkwy and Tiggle reached out because we knew this game. We knew EverQuest was onto something. Like, we were all internet generation. We played StarCraft, Warcraft, Warcraft 3, Dota, Diablo, and then when EverQuest came out,
Diablo.
yeah, dude, back then everyone played the same games. We all knew Command and Conquer. You know what I mean? Like, we all grew up on DOS systems, Midnight Rescue, the old stuff, man, plus the consoles. So when EverQuest came out, we all knew like this was something different. And at the end of it, Pkwy and Tiggle basically announced they were leaving to go start World of Warcraft. And everyone was like, oh God, it's cartoony. You're going to work with Blizzard. They haven't done anything but those silly games. And they're like, no, like, we're going to go do this thing. And they went on to help develop World of Warcraft. I went off to college, and I look back as World of Warcraft developed, and I thought, at that moment, something crazy happened, and I missed it. I was there, I was on it, I was involved, and I missed it. I went on to party with the Blizzard CEOs at BlizzCon a few times, and I got dressed up. And, there's some stories there, but they're not appropriate for YouTube. I gotta say, I saw a man get date raped, and he wasn't totally for it. And I should really be careful what I say here.
This is taking a weird turn.
Yeah, dude, those Blizzard parties at the Hilton were wild, man. They were wild. Bunch of nerds, rich nerds, balling out in costumes. Metzen was rolling around with kegs. Oh, dude, it was wild. Then it all mellowed out. They got rid of the Hilton parties, and then China got involved, and it just, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Where are we going with this? Oh, Arc of War is not done yet.
No idea.
We're still at the beginning of this.
We'll do. very weird turn in this conversation.
So one thing I was thinking, like, do you think doing a live event is feasible? Do you think that's a realistic goal I should have, or should I just abandon
Man,
it?
we've been trying to do that for what, 2 years now? Like you're talking about, like for the finals and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I had a venue.
Yeah, I would love to do that, and I know, but it would just be so hard to organize. And then people are going to say they're going to go like they always do, and then they back out last minute. It's just, man, I don't know if it would be worth it though.
I don't know.
It would be great. That would be like if we gain more traction on that. Like if we continue to work on that and get serious about it. I would love to go.
I don't know if it's the anxiety of like having to meet people in costume. I don't know if I want to. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't know if like can I host an event and then host a live stream at the same time? I would need a lot of help. And then what would be the reason people would show up just to play the? I don't know. I feel like it needs to be done though, because we can and it's easy. But
yeah, I think it would have made sense like when the finals were like 12-hour battles and stuff like that. But now it's like we're gonna hang out for 4. Well, I mean, I don't know.
The last 2 seasons have been at 4 a.m. That's brutal.
Yeah.
And to the developers,
because what was it, 2 years ago we wanted to do in Vegas? We wanted to do it in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Or that's like we were talking about it, and then last year it was was it like a a beach house or something? Is that what it was?
Yeah, Odad offered up his
we
beach
wanted
house.
We wanted to do a beach house thing, where that seemed pretty cool. It'd just be like a get together. Bunch of alcohol, Ark of War, probably a bunch of bad decisions. That seemed a little more casual, a little bit more doable.
That would be amazing. The problem, like getting an Airbnb, like on a really nice resort house. Problem is like the travel, the commute, getting people there. Where are they going to sleep? Liability. We don't know who these people are. We don't know if they're abusive alcoholics or if they're doing other drugs. You put your name on an invitation like that, how much liability would I be assuming? Like if someone else hosted it and I just showed up, I could probably get down with that. I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, we'll touch that. We'll touch that moving forward because I'm not against it. I'd like to see something like that happen. I just don't want my name on it. I got other things in life I have to worry about. I got a family, and I can't be hosting these crazy drug-fueled parties in Santa Monica on a beach house and an Airbnb with strangers.
Not anymore, anyway. Right?
Yeah, can't be doing any of that.
No more blizzard parties for you.
No. Those were wild times, dude. I can't go into detail, but let's just say I got a pro gamer tag, and that opened all the doors.
Oh Jesus!
That was just 1 year. So, going back to this conversation, we did an hour. God, that was fast. Like old friends.
Yeah.
Going back to this conversation, I have to ask. You've been playing Ark of War for almost 3 years or more. And throughout that period of time, have you ever consumed have you ever used drugs, alcohol, or anything that impaired your judgment to cause you to make a terrible choice politically or with your army?
Nope, never.
Not once?
Never. Nope, not once.
Do you drink?
I don't. Not anymore.
How long have you been sober?
I've been out of the army for 4 years, so about 3. I had a rough time getting out of the army. Like, that you always have that, or you hear about that transition period where like soldiers coming out of the army, getting out of transitioning and stuff. Like you don't know what the hell to do because your whole adult career, you've been trained to do one thing, and that's go to war. So when you get out and you're left with, now what the hell do I do? That's a rough transition. That's pretty nasty. So I had a couple bad months, and then I was done with it.
Okay. Well, for the record, I don't drink either. Been sober a long time. And I recommend anyone that still drinks. I don't know anyone that can do it in moderation. They say they can. Eventually, it goes bad. If you're one of the exceptions, fine. But quitting drinking was the best thing I ever did. Gave more time to my wife, my family, myself, my health. And I would encourage you to one day just don't pick up the bottle. Don't go buy any more. Throw it out. It's only, what, $10, $20, $30 a bottle? Throw it away. You don't need it. Find something else. Find Arc of War.
It's definitely not a popular opinion too. Like, because you always get those looks like, oh, why don't you drink? What's wrong with you? You know, there's this huge stigma about it, and like, man, nothing's wrong with me. I just don't want to drink. You know, that's okay to say I don't want to drink. You know.
Yeah, the best. I always tell my friends that still drink. I say the best version of me is the sober version. Trust me. You're not gonna like me when I'm drunk. I mean, yeah, I had some good times, but I also had a lot of bad times. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And far outweigh the good times.
Yeah. You certainly remember the bad times more
For
than the
me,
good
anyway.
times. Yeah. I don't want to be preachy. If people are still in their party years, go nuts. But you don't have to drink forever.
Oh, yeah.
You don't. You could stop when you're 30. You could stop when you're 32. Hey, you could stop when you're 48. You don't have to drink till you die. It'll probably kill you anyway. You don't know a lot of people in their 70s that still drink. I mean, I play a lot of golf, so I do. But for the most part, they don't drink that much. Speaking of which, what do you do in your free time? What's outside Arc of War?
I work a lot. I probably work a little bit too much, but
you're in your working years. That's good.
Yeah. So I pick up a bunch of overshifts. Other shifts. I'm going into like overtime every weekend.
Awesome.
But besides that, you know, just raising the kid. I think our kids are on the same age. I want to say. I think when you announced.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my son's like around that time too.
I'm doing a suspicious head nod. I've got 2.
Oh, you got 2.
Yeah, I
didn't know that.
We got another baby coming in 2 months.
Oh, congratulations!
Don't tell anyone. If anyone made it an hour and 6 minutes in, they know now. They know.
That's great,
yeah.
Man. I don't know how I can barely keep up with 1. I don't know how you can do 2.
Best grandma in the world.
Oh yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Number one thing I never knew about in raising kids is you got to have family. You got to have family. Like living with family. Like it's like frowned upon in Western culture to like live with family, but honestly, it makes so much sense. Especially as you get older, like you're gonna want grandkids too, and the more time you can get with them, the better. I honestly don't know why we push for that single family household. It doesn't seem to be. I mean, I get there's some like levels of privacy, but now that I don't drink or do any drugs, like I have a pretty like normal life. I can get along with anyone. Like, but yeah, best grandma in the world, man. Makes working easier. Takes stress off me and my wife.
Yeah.
And she's just the best with him, man. She's so good. You know, she lives for it.
In order for that to happen, we would have to move back to California, and it's just so damn expensive. Like I don't know what happened over there, but we wouldn't be able to afford the house that we have in California than we have here in North Carolina.
Yeah. I don't talk politics on this channel. Not once, not ever.
Is that political?
Well, here's the thing. I just paid $3.90 for a gallon of gas, and I was like, people got to stop voting yes on everything. Just stop voting yes. Yes okay. Means some political.
I see where we're connected now.
This is like getting into like political stuff. Bottom line is I have like this conspiracy theory that like politicians are like former attorneys who get into it to like stand around country clubs and golf courses to tell their buddies like, yeah, I'm working on this new funding I got this new bill I'm trying to pass through. I got my friend's a senator. He golfs with us on Thursdays. He's going to help me lobby this bill through. If we can get this through, we're going to get $35 million to Caltrans. We're going to put these new LED lights on everything. It's a safety thing. It's so smart. We're just going to glue them on the side of the highways. $35 million. We're going to kick off like 17 to CHP. We're going to kick off 8 to this. And there's going to be about 8 left in the slush. I'm going to take my 10%. Anyone else that helps out gets 10% of that. Just kick it around. I honestly believe like that. That's like it's my conspiracy theory.
I'm pretty sure that's how lobbyists work, right?
I don't know. That's what I think though, because I meet so many people that are so rich that don't work. And I'm like, where is all your money from? I was in freaking Pacific Palisades last weekend, and like, I gotta say, like 1 in 3 guys my age had like looked like John Stamos, and they had like Ray-Bans on, polo shoes, short capri pants, and they look like they never worked a day in their life. You know, I'm like, what? Who are these people?
Well, it must be nice.
Must be nice. I don't know, man. I like it.
introduce them to Ark of War.
No. Handing out the business card.
Yeah,
That's
just
funny.
give them all. They'll be selling all their jewelry in a couple months.
I'll hook them up with
Give
you.
them
Let them
that
buy some
T12
resources.
I'll sell my res. I got plenty.
So you were saying earlier it takes almost 4 or 5 weeks to get 1 billion res. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. That's about the time. Like if we were just doing straight farming, that's about. But like I said, these events have helped tremendously. So it takes some time and effort, definitely.
Now, are you just saying that to like discourage people from trying to sell resources as well, or is that actually true? It literally takes
Oh
7 days a week, up to a month, to get 1 billion resources.
no. People have even messaged me online asking me what my prices are, and they said, "Oh, that sounds a little expensive. Do you mind if I like sell it cheaper?" And I always answered, "Absolutely not. Like you sell it where whatever price you feel is comfortable with, and that's not going to do anything but make this game better." So I don't discourage other English farmers because there's not a lot of us. Most of the res dealers are Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
So the more English farmers we get, the better.
Yeah, and
Capitalism,
I
baby.
suspect they're using software because they're putting out incredible volume. They really are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I can't keep up with them, but I can try.
So, I would plug the service. If anyone wanted to get a hold of you to buy resources, would they just contact you online?
Yeah, that's fine.
And if you have, maybe you're tapped
Line.
out on resources, but other resource farmers, if they have resources, they could come to you and say, hey, I'm looking to offload a certain amount. Would they be able to contact you as well?
Yeah. Actually, Ragnar. Let me check my messages real quick.
Yoshi?
Because he said he's got like, what's that?
Yoshi? Ragnar?
I don't know Yoshi, but Ragnar. He said he's got like 35 million res or 35 billion res, but he can't get it off his server because he opened it all, and you can only transfer like 2.8 billion res per jump.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you could send it and then not let it land and then jump and it would stay with you, but it caps out at 2.8 billion.
Yeah, it caps out. So you can send 800 million to the market, and then if you send out 100 shipments right before server reset, you can send out another 100. So a total of 2 billion, and then leave the guild and jump. So that equals out to 2.8 billion res per jump, and it's just if you got 35 million res, like that's a lot of time, that's a lot of jumps, that's just.
I mean, that's
Man.
almost enough resources that a player should just pay to transfer there, get all the resources, spend it. What is the cap?
Yeah, but
because the troops come.
Some people won't. It's very so when I've sold in the past, it's been like $200 here. The most I've done was like $400. Like people are buying in smaller increments. It's not like, oh, I want 10 billion res. So that's what makes it hard too. If you're only selling a couple billion at a time on different servers, you're actually spending a lot. There's kind of an intricate there's kind of like a balancing act that you got to do. To selling res.
Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you right now, you're in the infant stages, and now that you're building a player base of reliable consumers, people that know like it's safe to buy, they're gonna say, hey, this new commander's out. I'm ready to pump to 1.7 million. I need to get 100 billion resources to build that army. Those $2,000-$3,000 orders are coming. They will come. Maybe not in the first 3 months, but within another 3 months, 6 months, I bet those are coming. Because, let's be honest, there's a lot of those guys out there that have multiple 1.7 million leadership commanders, and they need... How much is it to build a max leadership army if you're paying $100 a billion resource? It's probably $4,000 max leadership army.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I have no idea.
Yeah, I had it written down here.
Oh shoot! Well, if you're gonna repurpose at a BOGO price, it's like 4 billion, 4 billion gas. No, I'm sorry, 8 billion gas or something like that, just for repurposing.
Man, I offload electricity 2-for-1 gas all the time. Then I offload gas 2-for-1 cash. I don't make anything on
Oh,
electricity,
really?
but I do move the gas really easily, and I realize the airship comms are eating it up for repurpose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just another kick in the balls for being infantry.
Yeah, your cash is double the amount, and
And people need it.
it just gets eaten up.
No one
Yeah.
farms it, and people need it. You know? God. Speaking of which, you know what I've been doing lately? I haven't made a video about it. I had like 300 of those pure crystals. How many do you have?
Wow, really? 120-ish.
So I needed unlimited crystal. I need unlimited crystals. So I was like, you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to take pure crystals, and I'm just going to farm shadow matter all day, every day. So that's what I've been doing. I've been farming 5 shadow matter tiles a day on our server. People have just been letting me. And I'm getting
Yeah.
250 to 350 a day. And that's, I think it's more than that. What am I getting? I think it's twice a day. I don't know.
What? Wait, why are you farming shadow matter?
Because I can convert pure a pure crystal and 100
Oh,
shadow
oh,
matter,
okay.
2 million cash into unlimited crystals. And I've actually made like 40,000 worth of unlimited crystals in the last month doing this. And it's actually pretty viable. I'm actually quite happy with it.
Just when we're done with this, just let me know in game, and I got like 40,000 UC. No, shadow matter that I am not using.
Repurpose. You need the cash. Oh, you gotta have cash, but cash is easy to get. I'm not gonna hit your arc, dude. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's very generous of you.
Everybody else does. It's fine.
Is that how you're doing it? Do you go to Centicon and zero tax and just let him hit you?
We go. I do a random jump, and then we just meet up.
So, wait a minute. Yeah. So, random jump meetup. There's still a pillage tax, though, right?
I mean, what do you mean? Like, I lose res or?
Well, if you're in Amuzi land and you're like, okay, hit me, the regional tax is 5%. So if I hit you for 100 million, I only get 95 million out of it. You did know that, right?
Yeah, no, but I think there is a zero tax on our server, right?
It's Centicon, yeah.
Yeah, let me check. But I mean, for shadow matter, it doesn't. I don't think that gets taxed.
Shadow matter doesn't, I don't believe. But I remember when I was doing the resource, when I was doing the resource buying video, there was a reason why we did it out there in the middle of nowhere, and there was a tax zone. God, I forget what it was. Check in the comments below. Maybe someone will point that out.
Okay. Yeah, but we just random jump, then we meet up, and then I think it's 600,000 soldiers with the soldier capacity hall or whatever, and then I heal my troops, I heal my hull, and then he sends again, and then that's how we transfer our shadow matter around.
Oh, so you don't massacre off the Rangers, you try to fit them in your hospital?
Yep, and I just heal them with the meta crystals or meta energy or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, taking a hit from a max leadership commander a few times, you get zeroed pretty fast.
Oh no, I don't. It's not a full march either. It's 600,000 with the hull on.
Okay, 600,000 total.
And
so you get massacred for what is that? A third? No. Oh God.
I don't remember what the number. It's almost irrelevant because I have like 40 million Rangers. So even if I were just to take hits from them and whatever.
God, why? What is the massacre? Is it half? I totally forgot, man. I totally forgot. 1.7 million leadership. Wow, it's been so long since I've been PvPing hard and massacring hard that I actually forgot that
Yeah,
equation.
yeah. That's old math too. That's like, yeah.
God, what is it? I remember I used to do it. It was a third. It was a third.
Is it?
I don't remember, man. Next time someone hits you with 600,000 Rangers, let me know if they hit you for 200,000 Massacre. But
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
yeah, I think it's.
I think I was healing that in my med bay. But whatever. They're just Rangers.
All right, so we're at let's do it. 1 hour 20 minutes. Let's wrap this thing up. What else did we need to cover? I got a big hospital.
Okay. Dragon Slayer.
Check your notes. What do you got in your notes? Are we recruiting Rookie and Gengaji to win?
I think I don't think they would ever. They're fighters, man. They came for our quarterfinals in season 9, and they kicked ass. And then right after that, they jumped servers out of 889. Well, they never went back to 889. They went to another server just to pick a fight, So I think the normal life of a wind soldier, of a winter soldier, I think that's too boring for them. I seriously doubt they would ever permanently call win their home, which is fine. I mean, it is farm town right now on 888.
Yeah, I probably need to go get into some action, renew my lust for battle, change my name up, go incognito.
Well, let me know. I'll join you.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that'd be a good time. I don't know. We'll see, man. I want to hear what Seven Pirates wants to do. I'd like to do more community stuff with them. I'd like to arrange more like in-person stuff. I've got these art projects, man. These Zenith series art. I don't know why I'm so into it. I'm kind of into art, though, man. That's kind of my thing. I've got a lot.
Those new ones look pretty good.
Dude, I got this new guy working on some art. It'll be coming out soon, but I want to do something with him. I don't know what, man. It'll come to me. I don't know if I want to have him blown up as pictures. I want to have made life-size standing versions, and then have a live event where people can come by and take pictures with their favorite commanders. It's stupid. It's a dumb way to spend money, but it's not the worst money I've spent.
Can you make a Rogers blow-up doll?
Rogers blow-up pillow. I'm sure the Stella one would sell better.
Oh my god.
A waifu pillow. Oh my god, dude. Dude, let's do it. A waifu pillow. When is April Fool's Day? I've always wanted to do an April Fool's Day for merch that was actually real. So people would be oh my god, did you see Melt's stupid video where he did the April Fool's joke? And they find out it's real.
Don't send that to me.
It'll show up on your doorstep. Your wife's going to
that's a plug for the Patreon.
Right? Get that on Patreon.
Speaking of which, how many pins do you got left? Do we need to reorder?
We are good on pins.
Stretch them out.
Let's see. How much we got left here? Let's see. We've got about a shoe's worth.
Yeah.
Weighs about a shoe.
Well, now would be a good time if we wanted to redesign, before placing another order, redesign what it looks like, or just a completely different pen too.
I was thinking, London's Fog sent me this, and it's One World Observatory See Forever. It's from the Stratosphere, I think. That's not a good image of it, but I was thinking about doing something simple, symmetrical, something like that for the channel, and send them out for Patreon or just gifts, just because it's just kind of cool. I like having Arc of War stuff. But yeah, we could, because I've got plenty of Melt stuff. This Melt pin's going to last for another year. But we'll see. I don't know, man. I don't know. There was a guy working on a pin design. He kind of fell off the map. There was another guy that was able to do printing with T-shirts, but he kind of got busy with other projects. And I just got the first Patreon T-shirts, the prototype.
Oh, nice. Okay, I was gonna ask about that.
I'm gonna go grab it real quick.
Okay. Awkward silence. So I'll check my arc.
So this, oh shit, I'm representing a brand. I didn't realize. This is the, you can't see it, but it's just the Season 9 Galactic. God, that smells like vinegar. Oh, that's horrendous. Oh, it smells like straight up vinegar. This is just, it's like my least favorite smell. Oh, it's all the way through it. Why am I smelling?
Are you sniffing the shirt right now?
Yeah. You can't, I'm trying to show it off to you. I realize you can't see it. But,
yeah.
Yeah, there it is. And it's just, I like this logo. I like the idea of having this logo. I gotta take that sticker off. I can't wear the shirt because it's too small for me. Stupid people at Patreon. But it's kind of neat. It's like a nighttime shirt. Like you definitely wear it. Like you get home from work, take your work clothes off, shower up, get you like your fresh nighttime tee on. It's kind of neat.
So like not in public.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a public shirt unless you're looking for some weird attention.
Okay.
So I'd wear it. But that's the problem with Patreon is they won't let me open that up to the $15 tier. They said $30 or more, and I said, well, I'm not gonna. I know what it costs to make a T-shirt, you know. That's like the quality's okay. It's not great, and the printing's not great, and they want too much money for it. So I don't know if I want to.
I didn't know they charged you like that, or they told you what you can put in different tiers.
So I was talking to my lady there, and she said that when we originally did the posters, it costs like $20 to do the poster. And if you have a $15 a month tier, at the end of the third month, you get billed $20. I get billed $20 for everyone who did 3 months in a row.
Wow.
The problem is
per person?
What's that?
Per person?
Yeah, so like at the end of the third month, like 70 people hit that tier. So I got hit with a bill for like $1,400, which was fine, but apparently there was a lot of Patreon creators that were pulling all the money out of their accounts, and their accounts went negative. So Patreon said you're no longer allowed to have any tiers that are equal to the cost of the items, and also we need a buffer, just in case for whatever reason. So it's $30 tier minimum, and I was like, well, I'm not doing that. And I just
it's 15, right?
It's the shirt costs out the door, I think, is like 18, but they won't let me enable it unless I have $30 tiers. So, God, that stinks. So I don't know. The T-shirt through Patreon thing isn't really working, and mailing through Patreon isn't that hard. I got a list. So if I wanted to do shirts, I could just be like, hey, anyone that's a patron in March gets a T-shirt. You know, I will see the billing on March and just, you know, print out the spreadsheet and just start, you know, popping labels off, buy the prepaid postage. It'll take a day, but I could do it.
Yeah, it looks like you're at 72 out of 95. So that's pretty good.
We're never going to hit 100 people, man. We were up to like 84 at one point.
When it first kicked off.
Yeah, it like kicked off in March of last year, April last year, and it kind of like went all the way up, and then we like got to 70, 80, and we've just been teetering back and forth. And I think that's players quitting or players not feeling like they're not getting enough value. Yeah. Whatever the reasons are, you know.
I think I'm on both. I think I'm on your Patreon and obviously your YouTube.
Yeah, and the YouTube $5 thing. I don't know why YouTube does that. YouTube is trying to implement a Patreon type thing where you can do. They're trying to compete with Patreon, but I think the problem with YouTube is that it's too big and they are going to be setting themselves up for liability. So they almost need to like make a third-party company. But I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. YouTube's kind of wild too, man. Like they're dominating mainstream media now. You know,
with their premium. YouTube Premium or whatever.
Yeah, and it's weird how like people are willing to watch YouTube. People are not willing to go home and watch an hour of Jimmy Kimmel. Like I'm not. And no offense to people that like that kind of stuff. I just the fake laughs, the audiences, and just like the forced conversations. I'm just over it, man. Get me a history video on YouTube. Get me a a speed run. Give me a documentary. Give me an interesting story from someone. I don't need super high production value, you know. And I think that's like where they're falling apart. Is these creators on YouTube are putting out amazing quality that's original and fresh and fun, and there's so many choices. And there's memes, there's communities inside the communities. The inside jokes are like never ending, and people really gravitate towards that. And I think it's just a matter of time before NBC and CBS and ABC and all these major networks eventually just cave in or shrink down so that they can at least stay inside their market. But advertisers are pushing their money towards Google now. Yeah, I mean,
check my membership length for the YouTube channel. It's only at 1 year and 6 months. I thought it was longer than that.
1 year and 6 months. We got 6 more months to go before we unlock the special 2-year emoji.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about at this point.
That's what I'm going for. I saw that first time. Like, I gotta go for it.
Gotta go for it. Heavy as the crown. And you can't
give
it up.
Two on the
Who's in second? Who's in second? Let's see. Your channel.
I'm gonna guess Insidious.
You can see it?
No, I'm gonna guess.
Oh, guess Insidious. That would be a good guess.
Yeah.
You might be right. It's so hard to find it. Community, playlist, premium, membership. Your membership. I felt like I shouldn't have done this at the beginning of the video, but now that we're like super deep into it. Oh, that 24-month badge is sweet. I think he has like blood coming out of his mouth. Stupid.
Does he? Let me see that.
Oh, the emojis. I forgot about the emojis for the live streams. I've got to use those. All right. If I go into my...
Oh, yeah, you're right.
YouTube Studio. And how do I do this? Monetization. Maybe monetization? Memberships. See more.
Yeah, I can't see it on my end.
Aha. Whoa. There's new members? 7 days, 8 days, 8 months. So we had 2 new members sign up for the YouTube $5 a month thing. Thanks for joining, guys. But YouTube doesn't tell me this stuff. Wow, there's 49 people that do that. I need to hook these people up. Oh my god, dude. 18 months, WS or Army, and then second to you is WS Tavis.
Oh, Tavis, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Fire Medic is 13 months. And Tavis
What's Tavis at?
13 months as well.
13. Okay.
Yeah, and then there's like, but like there's this gap, dude. From 18 months, there's no one at 16, 15, 14. Just you, Tavis. Well, it's just you, and then like 5 months between of like deadness. Like you found it early, and then WS Tavis. Yeah,
it was through that YouTube gaming website that they used to have.
Yeah.
And I don't think you didn't advertise it for a long time.
Yeah, that was like the first way I wanted to monetize the channel. Was like realizing that YouTube doesn't pay any money at all, and I wanted to monetize the channel, but I couldn't figure out how to rationalize it right. And I was like, oh, they have this $5 thing, and they finally enabled it for me. They told me, they're like, hey, we're gonna let you do a $5 thing now, and these are all the things you get to do for your subscribers. And I was like, all right, let's try it out. And then after that, I was like, well, if I'm gonna monetize the channel, I'm gonna do it through Patreon. And then Patreon hit me up with this thing. They're like, hey, we'll give you a founders thing. We'll give you 3% off the membership. We'll only take 5%. And I was like, oh, okay, but you got to sign up in the next 2 months. And then that's how it happened. But
that's how they rope you in.
That's
rope you in just like 7 pirates.
Yep. But the next thing is where does Ark of War go from here? And then let's end this thing. It's been a long time. I'm sure you want to get in the house. Where does Ark of War go from here? Where are we at with Ark of War? Is this chapter 1 of 5? Are we like chapter 4 of 5? Is this thing coming to an end?
I don't know. It's so hard to get a grasp of it, or like get a pulse of it, because after every season, after season 6, after season 7, 8, 9, and I'm sure we're gonna see it with 10. Like our Subaru arcs are leaving. You know, they're selling their arcs. Ned sold his arc at the end of season 9. So Ned's gone.
Badass is zeroed.
Who else? Badass. Yeah, Badass is gone. So it's just so hard, like, to get an understanding of, like, if we're losing our players, but then more players are consistently joining in too.
A lot of players are coming.
I don't know. I kind of have a little pessimistic look at it. I can't see this going on for too much longer.
Yeah, I do too. I think you're kind of right. Like, it doesn't make sense because we're at the top. We see it. We know. The problem is what we don't see is what the developers have in mind. I just don't know what their game plan is, what it looks like, or if they're totally shooting from the hip. Because we have sweet, we have tier suppression, we have penetration, we have crit wither. What other mechanics can they add? I mean, the commanders are there's many more choices. It's not just Golem's game anymore, right? Rogers came out and it was Rogers' game, and then Stella for a minute. Like, it's, what else can they do? They keep making new commanders, changing the map, changing the layout. I don't know.
I guess we could even look at other games, because once penetration was launched, actually even once the migration feature was launched, they said, you're looking on the line community and they're saying, oh, they did this with this game and this game and this game, and it was always like their end game. Like, this is what they did 2 years before they closed out, or before they stopped adding new content, and then penetration too. Once the Wild Roses were out, what is it, a year ago? Penetration was launched about a year ago. They were talking about that meta and how that changed with other games too. So maybe they're going back to the whole roadmap thing. Maybe there is a kind of roadmap that these games follow near the end stages of their game.
I think you're onto something. There has to be a roadmap. There has to be something that's done it like this before. I'm sure some of the big spenders used to play other games. Odad said he used to play a Game of War, and the devs pissed him off.
Yeah.
I wonder what the roadmap looks like. If you're watching this video, put it in the comments below. What does this roadmap look like? What's the other game like it? How did it end? Is it still going today? Is it only kind of ended? I'm interested to know what other players know that I don't, because I don't play games. That's the funny thing. I don't play. As much as I'm a gamer, like, I played EverQuest. I played World of Warcraft. I played StarCraft. All these Blizzard titles. I played other games, Modern Warfare. But in reality, I don't hunt new games down, and I'm in an industry where I have access to all of them all the time for free. So I just don't care. Like, I just, like, even The Witcher, like, I'll download it. I watch the intro cinematic. I played it for 5 minutes. I'm like, another one of these games where I got to memorize all the buttons and spells. So, like, I don't play cell phone games either. Like, I honestly play, like, the baby cell phone game for my son more than I play any actual games. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'd love to know what this roadmap looks like and what we should expect, if at all. Oh, there's Badass's ship. R.I.P., man. Badass is still playing, right? Didn't he switch a different count? Maybe not.
No, I haven't seen him. If it is, maybe he's on a baby. But that Odinian or whatever, that's Badass's old account.
Oh, so wait a minute. So this ship over here, the dead one, isn't him? You can't see my screen.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah, that's his. Is he in Win, or is he in Rome, or?
He's ungilded at the moment.
HOR. He's ungilded. Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's the one that he's gonna hang out with. But he hasn't. Man, he's been very inactive. Even near the end of season 9, he's pretty much tapped out on this game. It seems like.
Well, that's the other.
And Ned too, man. I can't believe Ned left. That's nuts.
Well, that's the thing.
That was a big loss to win.
That's what's scary, though. Like, when people do join this guild, it's fun to be in the super guild at the top of the game, playing with the biggest players and going the furthest in galactic battle. But you realize that, like, you are not as valuable in this guild as you are on a normal guild. Like, Odad's 5th commander is stronger than my first by far, twice the size. You know what I mean? And yes, he can only fight with one commander in a base at a time, but, like, I would just get in his way. Anubis, JDB, all these guys have big max leadership comms, and I don't. And it's like, I like to participate and have fun, but, like, I'm just dicking around in there. So
Yeah, that's why, you know, when I jumped to 1130 and I spent 20 jumps to get there, but you know, that's not the point. Like the 20 jumps, that was well worth the cost to get everybody their rewards. You know, once the big guys went on strike, but it was great because I could join a guild. I can help them out with their GC or their space race, whatever. And I felt useful.
mhm.
I felt like I could, you know, do something for once instead of jump around and hit random marks as a sweeper and win.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and shout out to Kia, man. He's an incredible battle commander. He's great, well organized. I love
oh
the
yeah,
effort he puts in.
yeah,
You need a guy like that in a guild. I think WS Tavis was like that too, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He is a good member of the Theory Crafters.
All right, let's wrap this thing up. Let's call it a night.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks for doing all this. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for being the oldest supporter of the channel. Thanks for the pins. Thanks for sitting down with me for an hour and a half. And that Dragon Slayer build, we kind of touched on it, but we're going to be going into depth on that Dragon Slayer build probably next week. We'll do a video on it soon. Maybe very soon. We'll see. This will be Thursday's video, right? No, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's replay of the week. This will be Thursday's video. Right. Maybe Monday we'll do the Dragon Slayer build. Give me some good replays.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Our fight is in like two or 3 days, so I'll send you over some more Dragon Slayer penetration fights.
Okay. The good ones, the bad ones too. Obviously, you got to blow some infantry up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, who's the bad matchup for Dragon Slayer?
I've already done that.
Who? Nekajiro?
Oh man. You know, I think not Kilgore. Hancock. I think Hancock. I'm kind of worried about him. I haven't had any like one-on-one or like even matches with Hancock, but I feel like he'd tear some Dragon Slayer up.
What about I want to say like nah, not Full Metal. It got to be Elf. Elf with the HP build I think would be the most danger with a decent amount of dodge and the HP build.
Even with a penetration though? Because I have enough attack to get through that HP.
Yes, yeah. So the Dragon Slayer's main thing is she's a glass cannon, right? I mean, she is. She can't really, and their ships are durable, but she should be vulnerable to defense comms. But nah, it's kind of it should be vulnerable to balance
but not
comms.
Penetration.
Yeah, Hancock maybe. Plasma's not fun to run into. We had that replay.
Yeah, but if I'm only one slotting them, then it doesn't really matter.
Swee's a problem.
Yeah, because I should be using T12 plus, T12 plus, but I haven't built that yet because
got to sell more resources.
I'm slacking. Yeah, I got to sell more resources. That's true.
All right, well, we're gonna find out soon.
All right.
Try to pick a fight and lose. That's your Fight Club quest for the week. Try to pick a fight in Galactic Battle and lose to show the world where Dragon Slayer penetration doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for doing what you do, Melt. We really appreciate this.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to doing it more. And that's it. Good night.
Cool. Good night.